when you're witnessing a change of heart. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have been seeing that lawsuit or that quote unquote situation that's happening between Disney and this family who lost a loved one. And I was literally like, I don't know how any of this makes any sense, and so I kind of was just like, how can they fight back? I was just curious about the whole legal process of it all, because if you guys aren't caught up, there is a lawsuit between a family that recently lost a loved one due to a food allergy that wasn't directly caused. Okay, so you and I go to, let's say, Disney World, okay? And right? Or, Disney World or some sort of Disney resort, all right? How about that, okay? And now there is obviously Disney-owned restaurants that are like Disney themed, you know what I mean? And then there are like kind of restaurants that add to the decor, if you will, or like the atmosphere, but they're not owned by Disney. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm at? Okay. So anyways, you and I go to the restaurant that isn't owned by Disney. So we walk over there, we get over there, and we're kind of like, hey, listen, I kind of have this, let's say, I'm allergic to peanuts, okay? And I'm also, I have a dairy restriction, you know what I mean? And you just want to make sure that you're like, if you serve me food, it's not going to be cross-contaminated with things that have nuts and dairy in them. So then they're like, absolutely, we'll take care of that for you. And you're like, we chose this restaurant because on the Disney website, they recommended this as a place where, you know what I mean, they serve, they'll amend to your needs. They'll take care of you, essentially. They'll prepare it fresh and without any of the to fit your dietary restrictions, your needs, your allergies, okay? So we go over there, and then you're like, I just want to make sure, you know what I mean? You tell them once, you tell them again, and then they bring out the food, and they assure you it's perfectly, it's perfectly made to fit your diet allergies, you know what I mean? Everything will be top of the line. They bring out the food, and usually when they bring out the food, they bring those like safety guaranteed flags or like, whatever. It's kind of like a diet. It's like an allergy flag on it, if you will. So that way they can like automatically notice that like, oh, there's no, they purposefully put that on there. So that way it's like, this one has none of the extra stuff on it. No peanuts, no dairy, nothing, okay? So then they bring it out, but it doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have the flag that notifies you that it's safe to eat. So then you ask the waiter again, hey, listen, this is safe to eat, right? And they go like, absolutely. It's no nuts, no dairy. You're safe. You're good to go, all right? I promise you. And you're like, okay. So you and I, we eat, we talk, we laugh, we enjoy a good conversation. We enjoy a delicious dinner together, really. We have a good time together, all right? Now, let's say after dinner or lunch or whatever, right? I decide, hey, listen, I got a bit of a food coma. I'm going to go back to the hotel and go to sleep. And you're kind of like, you know what I mean? We're on vacation, you know what I mean? You're like, I want to get some souvenirs. I'm going to go shopping, really quickly. So you go shopping with, let's say your friend or whoever, right? Whoever else is on the trip, maybe your sister or some other person, you know what I mean? You run over to the stores, and all of a sudden you're going into shock. You're getting an allergic reaction. There's there's essentially nothing you could do. You're running out of breath. You're trying to hang on there. You stab yourself with an EpiPen so that because you're getting the allergic reaction, and this is all because of the food that we ate at the restaurant. Now me, I'm asleep. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I can't pick up the phone. I'm asleep. I'm doing my thing, okay? But eventually the phone rings enough times where I like kind of like in the days wake up throughout my mid-afternoon nap. And they tell me they're like, hey, they're taking you to the hospital. So I rush over to the hospital. And by the time I get there, I don't know their exact situation, but unfortunately, you die. And that is tragic. And we're like, whoa, whose fault is this? It's like, it's obviously the restaurant's fault. We were notified and we were told time and time again that everything was going to be, all the dietary restrictions, our allergies were going to be taken care of. And Disney on their website kind of just like, it doesn't, they don't own it, but they do recommend it, or it is like a part of like, hey, they'll take care of you kind of a thing. So now you're like, oh my gosh, like not only is it the restaurant's fault, but it's also part of like the overall, you know what I mean? The overall theme. It fits like the experience that Disney wants people to have. So while they don't physically own the restaurant, it's like they should still be held liable. So now you're like, not only have I lost you, okay, now I have to go through this whole legal battle to fight for you, essentially. Is like, we were told and we were assured that you were going to be safe, and you weren't. So now we have to go to war. Now we have to go to war with the restaurant and most definitely Disney, because it kind of really is their fault. Like they wouldn't have gone to that restaurant if they didn't recommend it to eat with that they would take care of your dietary allergies. So anyways, that's the scenario that we're presented with, all right? And it's when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh. Like I wonder how many times that happens to people, where it's like all of the red flags and all of the people who have done like all of the things to quote unquote assure that those kind of things will happen. You know what I mean? Like people who fought for those kinds of preparations. Like there are people who are like, I have an allergy and I want to eat at this restaurant and I need to be assured. You know what I mean? It's part of their, maybe it's not a part of every restaurant's policy, but it's just kind of like, then nobody with any kind of dietary, if you have an allergy of any kind, then it's like you can't go to any restaurant. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, well, then where can I go to eat? What's my thing? You know what I mean? And usually it's always like you have to plan ahead, but it just kind of is like, it has to be a fight, because these restaurants, these businesses need to do better and be better prepared. So of all of the places where they could have saved this woman, because it was a woman, a doctor, really. I don't know if it was a doctor. I think maybe a nurse of some kind. I don't remember the woman's name. Maybe I should look it up. But she was just on vacation or just enjoying her day, wanting to eat something, and that bothered me so much. I was just like, you guys couldn't do your due diligence. You guys couldn't, you know what I mean? I was like, how lazy, or how, it couldn't have been. I don't care how busy that restaurant was. I don't care how many things they were having to juggle. I don't care how many things were on their mind. That is a for sure 100%. Write it down, take it on the menu, put it in big neon sign letters or whatever. Do whatever you have to do, all right? Put in big, bold letters, dietary allergy, allergy, allergy. And it just, Anyways, so the situation being, the husband of the woman who died is now representing her in court and saying that she died due to the restaurant's maybe negligence, or they claimed one thing and they weren't actually doing that thing. They claimed that they were going to be accommodating to her allergy, and they weren't, and because of that she died fatally. And now, under the umbrella that is the restaurant, you could put Disney under that umbrella, mainly because on their website they recommend and quote unquote advertise it as a place where people with her dietary restrictions could go, with her allergy would be taken care of. So it kind of fits under the umbrella. Now, what Disney did, that was just, so Disney argues that, listen, you can't sue us. Well, not that, maybe sue is the wrong word. I guess essentially they're saying that, like, listen, you forfeited your right, quote unquote, to, I don't know, kind of sue us. The legal jargon is tricky, and I know what they're talking about. I have it in my brain. I just don't know if I would speak it properly. Like, I see plenty of what's it called? They're like those lawyer YouTube accounts, or like they'll have like a post on social media or on YouTube, like breaking down the situation. Like, they'll have the proper legal argument and then they'll describe it. So I know what I'm talking about, but I don't remember all of the definition and all of the words. But essentially what happens is they were suing Disney, and they were like, listen, you can't really sue us because you signed up for our streaming service, Disney Plus. That's kind of like the basic, overall theme of it, I guess, is that, like, Disney was arguing that you gave up the husband, at least. They're saying, listen, you can't sue us like the way you're trying to sue us, because you signed up for our Disney Plus service, streaming service, and in the terms and conditions, it means you forfeit your right to, like, sue us or to take this legal action against us. And the guy is like, what are you talking about? I signed up for that in like 2019 or however long ago it was. He was like, I signed up for that in 2021. Like, it's 2024 now. Though I don't even have the subscription no more. And then they're like, yeah, but you still signed up for it. And in 2023, you bought tickets to our thing or whatever. And you also, like, came into an agreement with us. And then he was just like, hold on. No. So they went to court against it, and then obviously Disney got a huge backlash for it, and they were just like, darn, they were just kind of like, aw, shucks, we got caught trying to sneakily get rid of this situation in the tricky way that we're used to. And it makes everybody question the whole terms and services. It's like that episode of Black Mirror that I talked about. Oh my gosh, this is exactly what it is. It's like you basically sign away your rights in these terms and conditions. So it just feels like at any point in time, like, if I have a problem with, okay, here's another one. I saw a thing that's like, Netflix is going to open its own movie theaters, which I don't really buy. But let's just say, for example, hypothetically, now Netflix opens its own movie theater, and let's say I'm walking in the movie theater, okay, and I slip and I fall. All right, I slip and I fall in the movie theater, right? And there was no slippery when wet sign, right? There was no, like, caution sign that says, like, hey, floor might be slippery. None of that, okay? There was no caution. There was no sign. There was nothing I could do to prevent this, okay? I hit the back of my head and now I have brain damage, or, you know what I mean? Like, let's just say, Now, I could sue Netflix, but when I bought, let's say when I bought the tickets to enter the Netflix movie theater, they put in the terms and conditions that like anything that happens inside of there, you can't sue us for. And I'm like, what? I did. So anytime you purchase a ticket using, whatever their ticketing service website, or anytime that you buy a ticket, when you sign up, you're essentially saying, I agree to the terms and conditions that nobody reads, and it just kind of like gives up your rights. You know what I mean? Of course, it's different than the Black Mirror episode. The Black Mirror episode, it's just kind of like they record the actual person, and then they use their life story in a TV show. It's not the same thing, but it kind of is, but it isn't. Anyways, in this situation, it has everybody questioning Disney because they're just like, I didn't know that if I went to Disneyland and then I got shot at Disneyland, I can't hold you guys, I can't sue you guys for the damages done there because I have Disney Plus. It just kind of feels like it's such a huge stab in the back. And the reason why I said like you're witnessing a change of heart is because recently Disney put out a statement that was just kind of like, hey guys, we're kind of dropping the whole, arbitration lawsuit type deal. Like we're not gonna, we're gonna see them in court, you know what I mean, and hope that we all find a fair and reasonable resolution to this because this is so sad and we care about humanity above all else. And it's like, shut up. We all know you only care about that shmoney. It doesn't matter as long as you make that shmoney. It doesn't bother them that they're taking this legal route to stop them instead of like focusing on, possibly helping out the restaurant or other things. It feels so scummy that they would do this to, first of all, that they would do this to a grieving family. It's just kind of like, what are we talking about here? And now that they've kind of dropped this whole Disney Plus argument, all right, or so to speak, now because they've dropped, well, maybe not dropped, but like kind of putting out a statement that says that like, yeah, we're going to see them in court. We're not going to do what we quote unquote tried to do, which was get rid of this or, bury this in the legal process that we're used to. Instead, we're just going to keep this out in the open and hope that everything works out for the best. And it's just like, now we caught you. But the big problem for me, and I guess a lot of people, like moving forward, is that like, now they're obviously going to try to seek justice, you know what I mean? I obviously hope that the family wins. But at the same time, it's like, it's such a David and Goliath situation where it's like, this is a grieving family with, I don't know what their funding situation is, but it's not Disney, right? It's not Disney level, okay? And then Disney, basically by getting rid of this, quote unquote, arbitration or whatever it's called, by getting rid of that, it kind of like, by getting rid of the Disney Plus streaming services, it doesn't give us a deep dive into like, no, you can't put that kind of thing in the terms and conditions. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what can and can't be put into there is now no longer, like, getting looked at. Or, like, you know what I mean? There's no amending it, so to speak. And so now, it just confirms my, mine and a lot of other people's idea of, like, not signing up for these streaming services and rather finding alternative means to watch, your faves, right? Like that's just, the way that things are. I just feel like this is just another confirmation that like they're not looking for our best interests, and the minute it becomes a problem for them, they can sneakily and use the law to their benefit in the best way possible. And just like, it feels like a big punch in the face. So that's why we're like witnessing a change of heart. And I say change of heart with air quotations, but we're witnessing it because they're suddenly turning, you know what I mean? They're suddenly turning a new leaf when all of a sudden it's like, oh, now everybody knows that we tried to scheme this. We tried to essentially we tried to use an old Disney Plus agreement into your wife dying of a food allergy from a restaurant that we recommended on our website, and it just feels like a big punch in the face. And I honestly, moving forward, there's going to be a lot of eyes on this, you know. There's a lot of eyes on it now. And I think the biggest thing, the most important thing, is that this family gets justice. It's that there's no way to no amount of money or no lawsuit, really, no matter if they win or, you know, hopefully they do win, but no lawsuit they win or lose is going to bring back that loved one. And I think that while, you know, it's the things that we're learning about, like what Disney is trying to do, or like the clauses and the terms and conditions that come with Disney Plus are coming out and this information is being spread, I'd rather not know any of this and have this family just be happy again. You know what I mean? Be whole. And I tried to put myself in their own shoes, and I'm like, I would have to be strong enough to fight, but then like I would feel so weak at the same time. I you know, it's hard to deal with these kind of legal matters because you're holding on for so long, because the legal system takes, you know, it takes time. Nothing's done in a day. You have to wait, and you have to keep on trying and pushing, and it's a fight. It really is a fight, especially with what they're trying to do here. And putting my own shoes in it, I was just I would be furious. And I would just be so devastated at the same time. It's one of those weird things where it's like the thing that hurts you the most is, you know, what gives you great strength, but it's like it's hard to see this being anything but what's taking up the full capacity in their brain. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I've heard somebody mention, like, they went to, I don't know who said this, but somebody was kind of mentioning, like, I took a helicopter class, you know what I mean? Or, you know, I tried to get my helicopter license, and you get up in the air and you're trying so hard to focus on just keeping the helicopter in the air, just holding it steady, just keeping it straight, you know? And then let alone like trying to move left or right or, you know, ascend and descend, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's difficult enough as it is just to, you know, quote unquote, stay still or to do your own thing, but it's a whole other thing to focus and maneuver and weave and go back and forth and back and forth. It becomes a whole ordeal, and it's the only thing you're focused on. You can't focus on anything else while you're up there. That's kind of how I feel about this lawsuit, is that, like, if I was the family, you know, or the husband that had this tremendous loss, I obviously wouldn't be able to think about anything else. I wouldn't be able to sleep peacefully knowing that right next to me could be my wife or somebody close to me, and they can just be swatted away or disrespected or treated as if, like, you know, because of this one thing you did, it all of a sudden comes back to bite you, and it's just like that. It doesn't feel right, is all I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is that, like, it doesn't feel right. And it sucks that that's the situation that they're in. And so this change of heart is nothing more than a wake-up call, or a realization that, like, these businesses, these institutions can't really be trusted because their interest is only in making money. They were happy to have you attend the resort or go to, like, their hotel and all this other stuff, but then the minute things go bad and they're negligent and they do some real harm and do some wrong, all of a sudden it's like, well, you can't blame us. Like, that was, you know what I mean? Look at what you did. You signed up for our streaming website, and that kind of forfeits your right to, quote unquote, sue us in this way. And then you also bought tickets from us and accepted other terms and conditions. And that restaurant, we don't even actually own that restaurant, okay? Yeah, we promoted it, but it's just like we were offering other alternatives out there. So you can't really blame us, you know what I mean? So anyways, we wish you good luck. It just feels so passive aggressive. It just feels so, like, dismissive, and it doesn't feel like there's any accountability on their part and the restaurants that they, like, hype up. You know what I mean? If I told you, go to this restaurant, they'll take care of you, they're super great, and then they don't take care of you and they actually really suck, then you're going to question me and you're going to be like, I went there because you told me and it was terrible. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Now, imagine if I recommended that restaurant and then you died. Like, it just hurts because it feels like there's no quick justice. Like, in this situation, I'm quick with it. I'm like, yeah, you guys deserve, like, a lot of money because there's no getting back that loved one, and you definitely deserve, to have your lives secured because this wasn't your fault. It was the restaurant who did this to you, and the restaurant falls under the scope, the umbrella that is quote unquote Disney, okay? Whether it's indirectly through their website, whether it's, like, directly because they own the property that the restaurant is on, or, like, it's connected to the resort in any way, shape, or form, like, it's all connected, okay? And because of that, I feel like it's just this change of heart, this whole, they wouldn't be saying anything if they didn't get exposed, right? And it just makes me wonder how many other people have faced this kind of situation, or how many other people have, like, obviously tried to sue Disney and then they got rejected or pushed away. You know what I'm saying? How many other people have faced a scenario where it's like something tragic happens and then you go to, like, figure out, like, okay, what's the legal process to deal with this? And they go, like, well, actually, you can't legally do anything against them because those Disney World tickets that you bought, they have terms and conditions on them, and when you paid for them, you kind of gave up your right, or, like, you kind of forfeited any opportunity to sue the company because, that the company can't be held liable or responsible for other people's actions and whatnot. You know what I mean? Now, you can sue the other person and they can deal with it, but at the same time, it's like, well, you allowed them to come in with a weapon, or there was no security precautions to take care of this. And, like, you would think that a big company like Disney would have safety things in place to take care of people like that. But instead, it's just like, no, you can't sue us at all. That was a crazy madman. He came in there, he snuck through, and it just feels like a big punch in the face. And it just doesn't work for me. So when you're witnessing a change of heart, really just, you got to question it and you got to think about like, how is this all going to move forward? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's going to be dealt with in court, but we just don't know what the outcome is going to be. And that's what everybody's worried about. That's what I'm worried about. What I want to focus on is what's the overall outcome of this going to be and how long is this going to take? Because right now we're just getting the start of it. I don't know how fast this trial will be. But overall, I think the idea is that like, in my head, they got to get some M's. They got to get some M's. But, you know, obviously it might not come out to that much or amount. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to really say, but I hope, and my hope is that they get justice, that the right thing gets done for them, and, you know, start to, obviously there are cracks in the Disney, you know, enterprise, but hopefully now it's just like more of a confirmation of like, we can't fully trust them, you know? We never could, but it's just like now it's more evident than ever. It's just, it feels so, you know, slimy. It just doesn't feel right. And so now it's all about, okay, what happens moving forward? What happens next? How can we keep an eye on this and keep on putting the pressure on them to make sure that they do the right thing, or they face justice or some kind of like penalty, at least for what they've been trying to do. So yeah, other than that, I mean, at the end of the day, Disney's going to be fine. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Disney's going to be A-okay. They're still going to have Disneyland. They're still going to have Disney World. They're still going to have that resort and that restaurant. And they're still going to have like the overall branding of them. They're still going to make millions, billions, really. They're still going to make billions of dollars. They're still going to have millions upon millions of fans. And you know, they're going to have a lot of Disney Plus subscribers. They're going to have all of these things. And it still just feels like one family against the world. You know, it feels like one family against the hugest, one of the biggest biggest businesses in the world. You know what I mean? Part of an oligopoly. It sucks. So when you're witnessing a change of heart, just question everything and just try to figure out, like, just dig your heels into this case. You know what I mean? Keep an eye on it at all times, and then we'll see how the outcome turns out, you know? Hopefully it ends. I mean, I was going to say hopefully it ends positively, but hopefully justice gets done right by them. And hopefully there's appropriate, you know, repercussions for Disney. So yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.